My name is Aaron from Money Market Management, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about personal finance. This is one of our prototype videos that we're recording for our full package that we're going to sell at a later point in time. But right now we're just trying to create content and move forward before we come out with our full package. Anyway, so I'm going to talk to you guys today about some personal finance basics. A couple of my team members are going to go on and more in depth about them later on in this video. But thank you so much for listening, and let's get started. All right, so introduction. What is personal finance? Personal finance is basically anything that you're doing to handle your own money, creating a plan for what you want to do, where you want to be, and how you want to live your own life. And so the biggest thing about personal finance is to set goals for yourself. So that means, where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And then where do you want to be, 10 years and beyond? And you have to consider all these things when you're planning your current budgets and stuff like that for today. So the earlier you start, the better you're going to get at it over time, and it's just better to start early and know what you want to do before you find yourself in a situation where you can't help yourself. Because one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be too old to do anything, and it'll be a bad day for you if you don't plan for this stuff. So we already talked about what is personal finance. Setting goals. Did you know 50% of Americans have less than 1 month income saved? 56% of Americans don't even know how credit works. 57% of households don't even have a budget. Those were all percentages given out by Harris Interactive, which I'll link later on. But America just sucks at personal finance. There's just a plenitude of things that you can learn and simple things you can do to put yourself ahead of the competition. And it's astonishing how many people don't consider their finances when it should be one of the most important things in their day-to-day lives. Dave Ramsey is another finance guru, and he once said that, you are the manager of your own company, and it's called You Incorporated. Your job is to manage that company's money. And if you manage the company's money the way that you run yourself, would you fire you? In a lot of cases, that would be a yes, because people mishandle their money. So that's just the biggest thing. Setting goals for yourself, figuring out what you want to do and where you want to be. My teammate Jorge here is going to talk to you guys about budgeting. And again, thank you so much for listening to this video. This is Aaron from Money Market Management.
Jorge from Money Market Management. And now I'm going to talk about budgeting. Okay, make sure you sit down and create a monthly budget. Make sure how much money you're making each month, or depending how much you get paid, right? So if you get paid weekly, make sure you're doing a plan for the payment. Sometimes you gotta pay bills that are month or etc. So whatever you spend, make sure you actually have the money, and make sure you can save it as well. And then I'm going to talk about spenders and savers. Can be intimidated, but it needs to be done. Gives you control of your money. So basically, if you know how much you're spending, and you know that you can make sure that you can save the money, so we can make sure that you're actually making a good budgeting and making sure that you're actually saving money for probably on the long term. Then do it every other month. Now I'm going to talk about goal. So on goal, make sure you always do income minus expenses equals 0. Make sure that your expenses are always low, and make sure you have high income. And sometimes it is good if it is 0, but make sure that you're actually not making negative digits or going above that, because then basically it's gonna bring you up to bankruptcy and all that stuff. And well, as a college student and all that, and in the long term, you don't want that. Figure out always where every single dollar is going. Every dollar is good. Is a good app. Every dollar is a good app for this. Or also you can use paper or Excel. Also works. In Excel, you can do just calculations as the income, expenses, budgeting, how much you want to make, and all that stuff. So it's pretty simple. And there are like classes that you can take if you don't know how to use Excel. But basically, it would be really highly recommended if you actually want to start saving money for the long term. Example budget will be like uh, example budget will be like 10% savings. So in this case, you will be saving, let's just say in this case, 10%, and then figure out how your balances goes. Like you probably can save more, probably can save less, but you can start from there, and it would be the first step for this. Second step will be house and utilities. Depends on the area, but you should be spending around 1,500 national average. That just depends where you live. Some people, let's say in California, they pay more in rent and all that stuff. So it depends where you live, but you want to make sure that you're actually making good income so you can make sure you actually try and save money on those expenses as well. And then step three will be transportation. For example, insurance, gas, maintenance, and etc. Let's say it would be like 300, depends how your credit is. So that's what you should try to build as well. Credit is really important. So make sure you actually trying to have a good credit too. Step four will be food. Um, will be groceries, going out to eat, and plan before you actually go out and eat with your friends or family members, whatever it goes. Every time you actually have to spend time with your friends or anywhere else you go, you have to spend on food. So that's one of the basics stuff that you actually have to think when you are doing budgeting. Also, make sure if you have a debt, make sure you always attempt to pay off debt before you pay for anything after this. Make sure you are paying your debt, because if not, it's going to go higher and higher, and then it's going to make it harder for you. And then step six will be miscellaneous. It's things you can plan for. Maybe let's say it's $100, $300. And then step seven, recreation, like personal, depends on person budget adequately. But let's say you want to do some fun stuff, you want to go out, you want to do something else. Make sure you actually make a budget before you go out and try not to spend more money than you can afford. So make sure you actually are trying to save. If you can, then I would say just stay at home. Then our going forward plan. Review bank statements and determine where exactly all money is going. Make sure you actually are meeting all these requirements. So you're paying, for example, as we say before, house utilities, transportation, food, and now we can say even cell phones are, uh, even cell phones can be one of them. And then realize that saving is more harder than spending. Um, so make sure that if you have the money, make sure you don't go and spend it all in one time and then don't have the rest for later on. So make sure you're actually considering what you're buying, and always sometimes it's better to go with the cheapest option. And then at the end, analyze all bad spending habits you might have and the impact they're going to have over a lifetime. Thank you so much for watching this. And this is Jorge from Money Market Management. Thank you so much.
Now we are going to discuss a little bit about the basics of financial health and why it is so important. Let's start off with just discussing why it's so important. Every person's financial situation is different. It is worth it to put in the time to develop your own financial plan to keep you on track to both reaching your goals and also not putting yourself in a financial risk for upcoming unexpected occurrences that may happen. In order to actually understand your financial health and your situation, you must understand how it is measured as well. Financial health can be measured in a variety of different ways, but the two main overall things that they're measured by is your overall net worth and how your savings are. These things can also be affected by debt, which has been accumulated over your life, such as credit cards, mortgages, bills, and even student loans could affect your financial health. Financial health is also not static, and it may change over the course of your life due to things that you may not be able to control or things you can control. Some of the things you may not be able to control is things like inflation may happen. Some of the key points that you should probably remember about financial health is some of the most common mistakes people have when they're determining financial health and they're going through their life is making decisions based off your emotions. A lot of bad financial choices come from people who make decisions and they know they're wrong, but they make them anyways based off their emotions. Also, another thing to keep in mind is not all debt is considered to be bad debt. For example, you could think of any debt that has the ability to pay itself off, and over the course of the lifetime, like a loan that pays itself off, or a business loan, or even something considered to be like your student loans, that you are doing that for a point to get a better job to pay that off in the end. But all these debts that you incur, even the ones that are good, do come with a risk, so you should always keep that in mind as well.
Hello everyone, I'm Mohammed from Money Market Management. I'm going to talk about creating a plan and moving forward. So you have to know where you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years or in 30 years. And you have to know, are you going to be rich or are you going to be poor? Do you want to enjoy your life after you're retired? So I'm going to talk about this kind of stuff. The first step is to cut or increase spending or saving depending on circumstances. Actually, it's so simple. In my case, I'm a college student. If I go to Starbucks every day and spend $7 on that, at the end of the month, it's going to come to $210. Now, the point is, do I really need to go to Starbucks every day and spend that much of money? But I'm thinking logically and financially, I see that I really don't need to spend that much of money every day. And I can save at least $150 each month if I don't go to Starbucks every day. The second thing is get out of all of the debt. Again, I'm a college student. I don't have to rent the expensive home or lease the expensive car. I don't need to lease the car like Tesla or something like that right now because I'm a college student. Once I get a job and once I get hired, I can afford those and I can lease the expensive car or rent the expensive homes. The third thing is you have to get motivated to stay out of the debt and create a stability for future. Thank you guys for listening to me. Again, I'm Mohammed from Money Market Management.